If you're wanting to go into business for yourself, there's a couple of things that you actually need. I'm not talking about the abstract stuff like the find your why or find your purpose. That stuff does have a place, and I'll talk about it in a second. I'm talking about the tactical things that you have to do to take a business from nothing to making you gobs of money. And there are tons of people out there who want to make more money or who want to make an impact or who want to get more influence. And they jump full force into owning a business without actually knowing any of the structure or habits they need to put in place in order to win as a business owner. So I'm going to tell you all of those things that I wish I knew before going into business so that you can hopefully learn a little bit faster. All this that I'm about to tell you comes from actual trial and error of me building businesses for myself. And honestly, typically where I got it wrong before I finally got it right. So learn from my mistakes. I'm going to give you the tactical stuff right now, and I would guarantee that the majority of people watching aren't actually going to build a business because of this one thing, and it's your ego. If you do not handle your ego now while you're building, you won't be able to grow. And people say, oh, I don't have an ego. Ego is not necessarily just like overinflated where it's like, I think I'm better than everybody. It could be underinflated. I think I'm worse than everybody. What an ego is an inaccurate assessment of the world around you because you are using the world around you to validate your own bad opinion of the world. I think I'm a piece of crap, so everything that happens to me validates that I'm a piece of crap instead of, oh, the thing that happened to me just happened and I can assess it and change. If you don't take time to realize that, it's going to be very hard for you to build a business because you're going to constantly blame the business on why it's not growing instead of just looking inside and getting it fixed. So I'm going to give you the 4 things that you actually need to build your business, and each one will compound on top of the previous. Let's go. Number 1, sounds stupid. You have to have something you're selling. If you don't have something you're selling, you don't have a business. And you say, oh, well, Jared, I know I've got something that I'm selling. You might not, okay? Here's how to define whether or not you actually have something you're selling. You will have a thing that creates an outcome for somebody, and you will know who that person is that it creates the outcome for. Whether it's a product or a service, whatever the thing is, you will know what your thing is and who you're selling it to. And you're saying, well, I sell everything to everyone. It's like, well, then you don't have a business yet. I sell this one thing to everyone. It's like, you still don't fully have a business yet. Are there generalists who succeed? Sure. There are generalists who succeed. I want you to niche. I want you to niche into something where you're selling it to a very specific group of people, and then you can earn the right to generalize over time. Same deal with your product. Solve a problem for that niche group of people. For example, our business builds med spa websites and plastic surgery websites for people within the field of aesthetic medicine. It's very, very niched, and it's a wonderful business. We have amazing clients that we love, and we know how to solve their problems specifically, and they trust us because of it. So I would highly advise first, niche your service or your product, make it so it's a thing. I wouldn't sell a bunch, like if you're gonna start a web agency, just make websites or just do SEO or just do Google Ads. Just do one service vertical, because I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to add a vertical. Even to add a new vertical is so hard. By the way, we had web and SEO for years. We finally added Google Ads, and it has been a struggle to add this one product line in well. It's a hard thing to do to add a new product line in. You can scale super high with just one, okay? Don't worry too much about going horizontal. Worry about selling one thing to one group of people. And when you sell that one thing to that one group of people, we sell websites to med spa owners. It's like, oh my gosh, we know everything about aesthetic medicine. We know all about the different injectables companies, all about the different devices. We know all about the different regulations you're going to struggle with. We know about all the things that a medical aesthetic clinic might struggle with. And so we're able to solve a lot of those problems in that agency. So they naturally want to come to us. So heaviest point of clarity here in the beginning, when you're building your product, have a thing that you do for a group of people. This is going to make this next part way easier. Part 2, you got to be able to get attention. You have to be able to get attention to your business. What does that mean? People call this marketing. They'll say, oh yeah, you got to market your business. You got to market your business. Well, it's so vague. Okay. All I want you to do is get eyeballs to see you. That is marketing. Eyeballs seeing you that matter. The actual eyeballs that you want seeing you. That's it. That's what I want you to think of for marketing. How can I get the eyeballs that I want to see me? Okay. So for me, I'm in the field of medical aesthetics, and I'm thinking, okay, great. How can I get those people to see me? Okay, well, I go to conferences. I speak at conferences. I have trade show booths. I partner with consultants who have tons of clinics that they work with. So I find ways to get myself in front of those eyeballs. I've built a great platform on social media where a lot of people within medical aesthetics will follow me. I have great friends who are influencers in the field too, and we collaborate on things all the time. Ultimately, the goal is you getting in front of the right eyeballs so that you can show them that you solve their problems. And there's 2 main ways that you can get in front of those people. You can do it through paid strategies. So you can do it on Meta ads, Google ads, billboards, magazines, influencers. I don't care how you do it, but you can pay for access to the lead. That builds a really dependable flow, or you can build an organic audience. You have to have cash typically to build an organic audience, or you have to have an existing lead flow to build a good organic audience, because if you are cash low, you might have to go the ad route. It's more expensive to get a client via ads, but it's typically more predictable if you build a really good ad set. That's typically the hardest part about people getting out of running ads to build their companies, is that they get into a flow where they say, okay, great, if I put $5 in, I get $15 out. However, if they put $5 into SEO, eventually that $5 will turn into $60, where it's like the multiple is way higher on the organic side of building, but the paid side is just so dependable. So hard. In the beginning of your business, I would just say try to do paid and try to build organic at the same time, but the long-term play should be towards organic in my opinion. Number 3, you got to learn how to sell whatever that thing is really well. And I know you're probably going to say, Jared, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to be a used car salesman, Jared. And I say, I agree. I don't want to be a used car salesman either. And I'm not. Here's typically the problem with people when they're struggling with sales versus when they're struggling with the word sales. I don't want to sell. A lot of med spas we work with, they'll say, we don't sell, we educate. And I come back to them and I say, yeah, you do. They're like, no, our goal is not sales. And I say, your goal is not sales? Your goal is education? They're like, yeah. I said, perfect. So if somebody sat in your chair and got educated for a full hour and then said, thank you so much for the education, I'm going to go get my Botox done by the person up the street, you'd be irritated because your actual goal was sales. You just weren't honest with yourself about it. So what I want, and I agree, by the way, like I think what people are afraid of is not sales. I think they're afraid of manipulation. Manipulation is convincing somebody of a problem they don't have so that you can line their pockets by solving it. That's manipulation. And that's what the used car salesman does. Sales is accurately portraying the thing that you offer and the value that it poses to give to that person agreeing that it is something that is valuable that they actually want, and then you saying, here's the cost. They say, great, I'll pay that cost. That was sales. So education can be a tool. It's not the goal. And so for me, I sell with education. I give away the farm and I teach people tons and tons and tons, because ultimately I want to make sure we're on the same page. So if somebody didn't understand how marketing was supposed to work, I want them to understand if they engage with us, so that when we're working together, they have a very clear view of what should be happening here in this marketing relationship. So when you are selling, you can sell through education, but your main goal as you're selling is to start accumulating objections. Your main goal when you sell is to start accumulating objections, okay? I cannot stress enough, you need to accumulate objections. Why? Because your entire sales conversation is about you addressing objections before they come up. And the more that you proactively address those objections before they come up, the more that A, you're in the driver's seat here, you're controlling the conversation. B, you're building trust because they say, oh, you already know the things I'm worried about. And C, you probably don't have a problem with any of those, whatever those objections are. So if somebody says, oh, well, are you way more expensive than our competitors? You can handle that prior to them bringing it up. So your goal in sales is to just start data set, start acquiring tons and tons of objections so that you can then handle them in your sales calls, or turn them into a big VSL and handle the objections in the VSL so that you can hopefully just sell virtually. Number 4, and this is probably the most earth-shattering one for our business right now, is refining your delivery until it's extremely smooth. In the very beginning, when you have a product or a service, just make sure that the service works in the beginning. Make sure you've got a decent flow in the beginning so that if somebody buys, you can deliver. Somebody buys, you can deliver. Somebody buys, you can deliver. Once you start scaling, you start adding employees, you start doing a significant amount more volume, you're going to need to refine your delivery system. Make sure that your employees have SOPs that they can refer back to, standard operating procedures that they can refer back to learn how to do their job. You want to make sure that you have a very clear outline of every stage of your delivery process. We do this through kind of like a timeline chart that we've built out for ourselves, where it essentially just like, you could do this on an Excel sheet essentially, where you have a bunch of columns that just say step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 6. It says which person on your team is responsible to handle step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the delivery process is, and get really granular about every single part of that delivery, because your goal as a business owner is to eventually turn that into one big system where the person gets sold, they purchase, that purchase gets fulfilled. And the more that you are stuck in any of those stages, the more that you are stuck, actually, in fact, let me draw this out. It should look like this. You can have an Excel sheet, or you can draw this out in bubbles. I visualize things, so I draw them out kind of in bubbles of here's what happens. There's a thing written out, and then it goes and says, okay, great. And once that thing happens, then this team member is responsible to do this, and and this team member is responsible to do this, and this team member is responsible to do this. And then at the next stage, I say, okay, great. At that next stage, this one team member is responsible to do this. And then the next stage, this one team member is responsible to do this. And work your way slowly out of that path. You can do this on an Excel sheet, so like the columns just kind of look like that. I like visualizing it, just kind of helps me to see and to understand. And so I have it drawn out in this massive chart that looks like a sideways organization chart. But really the goal is, this is the first little stage, move them to the right. Just keep on moving them to the right, moving them to the right. It's a giant conveyor belt. It's a giant conveyor belt. Move them to the right, move them to the right, move them to the right. And I would bet dimes to donuts, if you're struggling with your business right now, that you have a problem with deliverability somewhere. I don't know where it is, but you probably have a struggle with deliverability. It could be the person pays, and then what happens? Maybe there's an onboarding that's supposed to happen and you kind of like float around it, or don't really have like a whole process around your, I don't know what that gap is, but you've got one. And that gaps need to get cleared up, and they need to get filled in with employees. And if you don't have the revenue yet, then you grow the revenue to the point where you can then fill that gap with an employee that they can handle it, and then you can scale yourself up and out. Want to reiterate this one more time. None of this works if you have an ego problem. If you have an ego problem, there's a video that I've made. It might pop up somewhere over here or something like that for you to go click on. There's a video I made about learning how to handle your ego. But you have to learn how to objectively look at yourself and say, oh, if I do this next, we will win. Not, oh, we lost because I'm a loser. Oh, we're winning because I'm so incredible, when in actuality, you're not winning. I struggle on the opposite side of the ego spectrum, where I'll often think I'm better than, and I will overinflate the grandeur of things. And so for years, I would think things were better than they were in our agency, and so I wouldn't have to deal with the problems. I would just get to think, oh wow, we're doing incredibly. When in actuality, if I would have just buckled down and got the thing solved, we would be significantly further than we are now, because of my ego. And you're probably stuck because of yours too. So every single year, I read back through Leadership and Self-Deception every single year, because I need to be refreshed and reminded that I'm just a person and I'm trying to build a business. The business is not me. So those 4 things are the system. If you can just follow those 4 things, you're gonna win. The ego part is your ability to see the system clearly. If you get all those things dialed in, you are absolutely going to win. Don't forget to subscribe and send this video to somebody who wants to build a business. See you in the next one.